And welcome to episode 55 of Free Your Geek. I am your host, Jay Free. Welcome to those listening on audio, whether you're listening on Stitcher or iTunes Podcast or anything else that plays podcasts. Podbean. That's our go-to, guys. And if you're watching on Facebook Live right now, thank you very much. I'll be reading your comments along the way. But we have a very packed show. And before we jump in, let me first introduce the gentleman to my left, to your right. My two co-hosts, we have KB.
What's up, brother?
And the Don.
I don't have anything clever. I'm going to throw this out there now. I don't like being introduced because I can't intro myself.
Okay, so how about...
Like, for the millions and millions of the geeks around the world, the Don is here to rain havoc, drop knowledge, and...
something else.
Chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm fresh out of bubblegum.
That's why I don't...
That's why I like to intro myself.
Okay,
we should have Don intro the show,
Don
actually. He should be introing the show.
That's good. You can do it like total Ed McMahon versus Johnny Carson side, where he introduces Carson. You can introduce me. I can come out, wave to people. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. All right, cool. So we do have a packed show, but before we get into the crux of our show, want to thank our sponsors. For those that are listening on a podcast version, the audio version, you don't see it on the screen, but thank you first to Local Blast Marketing. Thank you to Ritual Sweat Society, and thank you to Pachico's Furniture, who have been with us from the start. Three great companies, whether you're looking to promote your local business, whether you're looking to get in shape and lose some weight, or whether you're looking to buy some, very, very nice second-hand furniture or have moving services with Pachico's Furniture. They can do it all. They do it all.
I'd like to thank the people over at the Booty Yoga for working wonders on Jay Free's body. I mean, he is looking very, very beefy at the moment, and it's all due to beefcake bologna. Anyway, obviously that thing's getting really trendy. I was over in heading up towards Westport, Dartmouth today. Noticed they're going to have their own super studio over there.
Yeah.
So get your booties to that yoga spot. Get some urban booty yoga.
BUTI. So look it up. Check it out. Tara Winterhalter, friend of the show. She's the owner of Ritual Sweat. She's awesome. Check her out. Okay, so let's talk.
Let me just jump in here real quick. Let me apologize
I'm gonna type up something on Facebook.
Aggressively spamming the hell out of every single group I am part of. This is the Free Your Geek podcast. If you're tuning in for the first time, again, the host Jay Free, KB, and the Don. We are here joining you live from 59 Media Studios. This is intro number 2. I just noticed that we had a lot of guests. We don't really get a lot of guests, so we appreciate you. So if you're in the mood to hear some geek culture from 3 zany, crazy... men children, then you're in the right
Man-childs.
Yeah, we're a bunch of man-children here, I guess.
Excellent. So, my buddy Andrew joined in. Andrew's a really good dude. I'm sorry for choosing the podcast over basketball, but I'm a bigger nerd than I am a jock.
Does he play? Is it every Thursday?
It's just about every Thursday.
Okay, so I was gonna say we can do an on location once and
Look
see.
at Kim loving the booty yoga talk already. Very good, Kim. See, we geek out over everything, and booty
something.
Yeah, so for
booty
those
something we're in on.
Well, let me put it this way. So that's a really good point, Don. Like for those that are new to the show, the word geek had a very negative connotation. We like to look at it as something that you're passionate about. Now, yes, we're going to be talking sci-fi and comic books and superheroes because that's what we geek out about. But we also have friends on the show that are really into horror movies, and we had a few episodes ago, we had an independent filmmaker making horror shorts.
We had a health nut who's also a Star Wars fan. Yeah,
we just like we run the gamut.
We've had some musicians on.
We have had musicians. You know.
Oh my God, we've had comics. Now that I'm thinking about it, we've had comics. We've had bartenders. We've had everybody.
Cosplayers. We've had some cosplayers on. We've had tons of people on. So, yeah, let's talk about. Let's start off by we're going to be talking a little bit about fall TV is now pretty much way underway now as we're going along. We're going to start off. We're going to talk about next week, though. Next week there will be no new show because there's a little movie that's coming out.
A little movie, very.
Are you about
tiny.
to drop the hammer on them right now?
That's a good reference.
Tiny movie though. Tiny movie.
It's a little movie called Thor Ragnarok. We're going to be checking that out next Thursday, so there will be no new show next Thursday. But the following Thursday, we will be here. Fingers crossed, Joe Amaral from Whatever Bro Films will be filling in that fourth seat, and we'll be reviewing Thor Ragnarok.
That'll be Joe's
2 weeks. That's like his eighth appearance on the show.
Time.
He's been on every time. There's
every
a Marvel
movie.
Yeah. Oh man, Joe's a hilarious guy too. So anytime we get the comedians over here to do some geek talk, it really spices things up.
Yes,
it does.
Yes. So and check their page out. They have their own podcast.
And Joey knows his stuff too.
Joe actually, he's sending me all these theories about I'm not going to get too spoiler heavy, but things about Odin, things about Heimdall, all these different things that it might happen in Thor Ragnarok. And I'm like, I don't even want to click on the links that he's sending me.
Yeah.
Because he's already sending me spoilers from what might happen in the new Avengers movie.
Yeah, that stuff's starting to roll out.
I don't want to know.
Too.
I want to be surprised. I don't need to know all that stuff. So
Joe, send them my way because I eat spoilers for breakfast and then I hand them out for lunch to my friends, with whether they like them or not. So please, by all means, send them the Don's way.
So
Don's
disconnect from Don after that happens.
Wow. I may just flood your inbox with things that say pictures of Dazzler, but when you click, it's clickbait and you will get all the spoilers.
So for those new to the show, apparently, if you know the notorious X-Men known as the Dazzler, these guys have an inside joke that say I'm highly attracted to her and she's
Jay
my favorite
Free's
mutant.
first crush.
Yeah,
my first crush. Yeah, I mean, well, to be fair,
Where were you, 8?
I was probably like 6. I played that video game, the X-Men arcade game. Dazzler was the bomb, no pun intended. Yeah, buddy. Okay, so we just want to throw that out there. No show next week for Thor. But let's talk about fall TV.
TV.
Tons of television shows now have started. We're in the end of October. We're starting up Halloween. Halloween's next week or later on this week. I don't know how it works. I'm bad with dates.
It's next
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. But let's talk about what are we watching, guys? What have you seen so far?
Let's start with Don.
I mean, every fall I jump right into Family Guy. I dive right into that world. That the humor really jumps at me. It's stupid. It's funny. Children around the world unite and watch Family Guy every fall.
Was Adam West still in some episodes? They had some pre-recorded ones, I think.
You know what?
I thought I seen him. I thought I seen him in an episode.
The latest
driving
episode,
a car or something.
Actually, you know what?
Yeah, with a dollar bill.
Yeah, it's the dollar bill episode. Yeah, very very clever, well written episode.
I loved it.
I do want to say though too, I don't know if you know one of the other voices of Family Guy that will no longer be reprising her role is Peter's boss Angela.
Angela was
Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher voiced Angela.
Yeah.
So two amazing heroes or icons in nerd culture between Adam West and Carrie Fisher, who were voicing Family Guy, and no longer sadly with us. But Family Guy is still. I mean, I think for any type of show that you watch, because I'm a big Simpsons guy myself, and I don't watch the newer episodes of The Simpsons.
Yeah. I tried.
I mean, I feel like the humor changes. I feel like the same way at Family Guy now at this point.
It's the Brian and Stewie show,
which is fine for what it is.
But it has to be now, because in this day and age of what animation is putting out, I'm sticking to the strictly stupid humor, which for us basically
and South Park is still getting it.
South Park will always be relevant because they always touch on topics that are going on right now
within the week.
Hey, and they do it so geniusly that it's like you can't even look past you can look past the fart jokes and the stupidness, and you're like, wow, they're really telling us what a actually, we don't talk political, so anyway, we'll just move right past it. They touch on topics in a funny way, but make you really scratch your head at the end of it, wow.
Yeah, we here at, and we should mention before we get into too deep, the views and opinions expressed here at Free Your Geek and Free Your Geek Podcast do not reflect those of 59 Media Studios, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Basically, we don't like to get too political. We like to keep everything just light and fun and easy. But Don, go ahead. You say you want to say something. Oh, you're pointing. Yeah. So we don't talk politics here. We're not going to say we're left, we're right, we're this, we're that. We're all geeks, man. Let's just chill out, have some fun, talk some nerd culture.
And that's the bottom line. Because Jay Free said so.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so let's get into this a little bit more. What else? So other than Family Guy,
So
anything else?
I jumped into Family Guy. We'll push the most important one to the back for a little bit.
So let's the little feeder. What's the one we're pushing to the back?
Oh, TWD, baby.
The Walking Dead. AMC started up. We're going to be reviewing that first episode.
This is what I just jumped into now. Netflix put out the show The Mist, which is off of the movie. I've been binge watching that the past few days.
The Thomas Jane movie.
I don't know. It's going off of the Stephen King book, The Mist, where you remember the bugs got all.
Right, but I know there was a movie.
I don't know who made the original movie.
Okay.
You're in charge of all that good stuff.
Oh, okay.
I remember the
I'm in
general,
charge.
and you get the specific.
Got it.
That's how this works out.
Understood.
Right here.
Understood.
So, show's really good. It's creepy as all hell. I love, and all shows like this. I'm gonna make a Walking Dead reference tied in with The Mist. Is the zombies don't really do it for me with The Walking Dead. That's an aspect of it, but that's not all of it. And then in this show now, I have the creatures and stuff. It's always the human interaction that gets with me. Same thing with even Game of Thrones. I could tie into this. Dragons, walkers, whatever.
Irrelevant.
You take all those things out of these shows, and you still got a great show. That's
The
what I like about it.
Walking Dead is so not about walkers anymore.
No. They are so not even secondary. They're like a third tier issue going on here.
I mean, look at the last.
it's
look
good.
at the final episode of last season. There was one walker in the whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean the whole show. Like,
so we're kind of burying the lead if we're going to be putting this to the end of it.
but no, we're not talking
but
about the
again,
episode
the
yet.
show The Mist was really, really, really good. I mean, it's even something I would pass along to you guys. Say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, check this out. Let me know what you think about it. Fault. I mean, let me know what you guys think. I can let you know.
Let's
if I'm
see.
in
For
on
me, a few shows. Inhumans. I have been watching it. The wife likes it. I've enjoyed it. Gotham has been really good.
Preview
Gotham.
loves Gotham.
Gotham has been really good.
Shout out to Jay Preview.
And Supergirl. Been on top of Supergirl as
Okay.
well.
Nice.
Flash, I'm a season behind, so I'm kind of like not on top of that. And then obviously The Walking Dead now. So
Actually, I
got about 4 or 5 shows in my
I have
rotation.
one big one that I need to ask you about. What's going on with The Gifted? Did it grab you? Or are you still invested?
Oh,
in
we're
it?
going to be talking about this. Hold on. First of all, we have some people on Facebook Live saying hello. So hello to everybody watching.
Hola.
Yeah. The Gifted. So I'll just for my piece right here. I'm still watching the CW shows. Of all those CW shows, Legends of Tomorrow is still my favorite.
Well, I mean, I would think it's your favorite because it has by far the best cast of any of the shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And it's so light. It's so goofy. It's just like it's very tongue in cheek. It's very light. It's not as dark. And there's a place like Arrow is very dark, which I love.
And Flash gets dark
and
sometimes.
Flash can get into very emotional. Legends is a little bit lighter, and I kind of like that. But The Gifted, I am loving The Gifted.
Yeah.
I have not watched Inhumans yet. I have no desire to see Inhumans to be quite frank. I saw the first episode. I'm just not. It didn't grab me.
Yeah.
Gotham, I'm in the same boat though. I love Gotham. Gotham's actually on
really
tonight. After we get out of here, we're gonna go home. Well, I'm gonna go home and watch Gotham, and then the CW shows. But yeah, The Gifted, as far as new shows, is probably the new show this season that I'm most into. And I'm just, I don't know. Have you? Did you have?
I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
No,
No.
but you brought that up because
I brought it up because I've been watching the previews, the commercials for this show look really, really good. So I mean,
We're only, what, 2 episodes in? 3?
this is 3, I believe now. So this is gonna be the 4th one's gonna be next.
So be able to catch it on demand still.
Yeah,
So,
it's great. The cast is great. The premise is great. If you're a fan of some of the older X-Men characters, Polaris, Thunderbird, and Blink
Okay.
are all
Blink,
in it.
wow.
And Jamie Chung plays Blink, and she's awesome. And then they have one of my favorite actresses, or it's not. We don't really call them actresses anymore, just actors. Amy Acker, who played Winifred Burkle on Angel, and who also played in Dollhouse. She's a Whedon actress, but she basically played Fred from. I don't know if you ever watched Angel, but and she was in Dollhouse as well. She was in what's that show?
Dollhouse was with Elijah Dushku.
Yes, and then what's the stupid with Jim Caviezel? What was his the show he did? Him and Michael Emerson did where Person of Interest. She was in Person of Interest as well. So she's been around for a while, but now she plays the mother of these 2 mutant teenagers.
Yeah,
and they're on the run because it's they mention the X-Men. There's a couple little nods to the X-Men universe as well. In the first episode, one of the characters gets a phone call and it plays the X-Men animated TV
awesome.
series theme song, but they never acknowledge it, But it's just a little cool Easter egg there for those fans. Really quick Facebook Live, Erin Ferrara Sullivan. Hello, Erin, another guest of the show.
get your elf on.
That's what I call her. I call her Erin the Elf, and Yeah, she was on our Game of Thrones recap app and just prep for what, and she knows her stuff, and we're gonna get her back on when the new season starts. But so what, 2018?
2018.
We'll get her back on. So yeah, those are the TV shows I'm really into. Anything else, you guys, before we talk about, as we kind of we don't want to bury the lead too much, but The Walking Dead.
I think we may have to transition over.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about The Walking Dead. So before we started, we just kind of said, what did we overall think of it? So season 8 has started, and I'm curious. I'm going to go to my two co-hosts. I know one of you.
We have opposing
Varying
views,
opinions.
which
All right,
is going to be very. It's going to make very good airtime.
Yeah,
for you.
that's why I'm gonna kind of be the moderator. You guys can debate this.
Okay,
and
so
I'll moderate.
In the world, you say you got good news and you got bad news. What would you rather have, Jay Free, first? You want the good news or you want the bad news?
Ooh, let's go bad news, because you can always start off feeling down and then pick it back up with the good news. So KB, you go
take it with
first.
the bad news.
I just really felt like the episode was really all over the place for me.
Okay.
The old man Rick thing I kind of wasn't really feeling, because I kind of like Jay Freeze thought about Rick needs to die at some point. And Kirkman kind of saying that, at some point he dies. So seeing him as an old man in a dream kind of really turned me off a little bit. Talking to other people that watched it, they're like,
yeah.
Did it really happen or did it not really happen? And to me, it's too if the general audience is looking at it that way, it's not probably really a good first episode.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That the action and stuff is great. I like the whole how they went right after Negan. I do like all that. But they kind of lost me in the back and forth with the speeches and the the one speech, so to speak, that's going on, and then the whole dream sequence where it just kind of lost me a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah,
Counterpoint.
so that's why I was kind of
Counterpoint.
not feeling it so much.
To me, I feel best first episode of The Walking Dead that I've ever seen.
Do you know it had the lowest rating since season 3?
I would have to give it the lowest ratings of any season because of the there was no real cliffhanger.
Yeah.
At the end of that season, we were
as far as people watching.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is at the end
Where's
of
the-
last
where's the
season,
hook to bring
we
them
were
back?
Yeah.
we were left with a speech, and I like how it's crazy. You thought the speech was one way, but I looked at that speech as all right, you're bringing me right back into where I was.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, they're giving me 3 different time periods.
Yeah.
And I related it to, Jay Free's going to like this one, I related it to Lost. I even turned to Beth and looked at Beth and I said, Rick's probably dead. Rick's not an old man. And not being theological or whatever, but this could be Rick's heaven. Or I even look at it in something even crazier than that, because I watch other insane shows.
Mm-hmm.
Another show I watched last year was really good called The Leftovers, where all these people just disappeared from Earth or whatever. So we end up finding out at the conclusion of that show that all the people that disappeared just reappeared somebody else. And the people who were left behind, one lady ends up finding a way over it anyway, ends up finding that there's a whole other world. So I look at the show in a crazy way, because maybe I'm a little crazy. But hey, crazy likes crazy.
I like your heaven idea, because the thing about that scene that you notice is the old man Rick scene is that Michonne is kind of the same age.
Yeah, and but Michonne's kind of the same. Michonne is, but
Yeah.
it doesn't show you Carl's face. It shows you a quick flashback.
It looks like an older Carl.
An older Carl because of the hair. Just because of the hair.
Taller.
And then I believe it shows Judith
shows
as
Judith
is
a little bit older,
too.
yeah.
Okay. So, wow, I think I didn't say that on there. So anyway,
Don
wow,
is
I
catching himself.
almost let something slip that would have been whatever. But anyway, where was I going with this?
You're talking about that
the
there might be
ages
Rick's
and-
heaven.
So so realistically, for all we know, when you turn your flesh may remain, and your reanimated body may come and become a zombie. But for all we know, you may just leave that plane and start existing in another. Wow, I'm getting really deep with this. You could exist in another
Getting
plane, and
philosophical,
what
brother.
we're seeing at this point is Rick that we've been watching this time. His body stays behind. He goes into his heaven form or whatever, where Michonne, who may not have passed away. So that's why he has his last memory of Michonne, or maybe Michonne did pass away, and that's why Michonne is still younger at that point. And then Carl does pass away at that older teenage
Maybe.
years, and Judith dies as a 6-year-old.
Maybe
and Rick
it's
is
then
the
they all
only
die.
one who makes it to the end, sits there, and old man's out, and then that's him dying. When we see him waking up from that dream, that's Rick actually dying in this world.
Could be.
But that wasn't even. I don't even know.
Don just went on a whole
went on a
tangent,
tangent.
whole like
Yeah.
philosophical
That was good.
deal.
That was a good.
So let's bring some
Oh
more
my God,
levity.
Johnny Leather.
That's what I was gonna say,
Thank
Johnny-
you for being you, Johnny Leather, because you can't let that slip out of my tongue on national
Yeah.
Facebook Live.
Well, to his point, I'll say this: the actress who plays Michonne said that on The Talking Dead afterwards, so it's acceptable for her to say it. I'm not going to say it.
I'm gonna do the white thing and just sit here with my mouth closed.
That's right. That's right. So we're not going to say that. But Johnny Leathers, for those of you that are listening on audio, Johnny Leathers,
Good
check
friend
him
of
out
the show.
on Facebook. He's a good friend of the show. We're going to have a Leathers report soon.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've had
well,
Johnny on.
Johnny's
on the phone.
been busy. Johnny's been busy appearing in movies and jumping into all these different films and becoming a superstar. Go
Thank you
ahead.
for saying that. Boom. So Johnny Leather, you hit me up. You sent me a personal message the other day, and I had no idea where to find Denzel Washington out in Marshfield. You tell me to go and be like a non-union background scene actor for a movie, and trust me, I've looked around Marshfield. I cannot find Denzel Washington or any movie set out there. Trust me. You guys know I love attention. I would definitely be out on some movie set walking around like greasing elbows with Denzel,
Jay Free, we didn't even get your thoughts on the.
Yeah, what do you
on
got?
thoughts?
Oh, you guys want to know my
Yeah,
thoughts?
yeah,
Oh,
we think-
okay.
I think your opinion matters a little bit.
It's only my show. Since you guys have both seen
It's
the
funny how
series
off the air
as
it's
the
our
boss.
show, but he has to show
Well, no,
off when he's
well,
on air.
It's my show.
No, what I was saying was you guys. There was an off message where Don called me the boss, and I said, "I'm not the boss. This is a team effort." But then it's like you guys don't even want my opinion.
Oh
But
my
you know
God,
what?
he did not realize that I was calling him the boss because he reminds me of Bruce Springsteen. That's what it was.
Oh, see,
He's an uptown girl the way him and Dazzler have fun.
Isn't that Billy Joel?
And the fact that he knows that it's Billy Joel
yeah.
shows that he's an uptown girl.
It's weird. No, I really liked the episode. I actually agree with the Don as much as I'm loathing him right now. I liked the speeches. I liked how they had both Ezekiel, Maggie, and like basically the different heads of each little settlement, like kind of rally
way it is in the
troops.
comics.
Right.
Yep.
And then so there are two parts stuck out to me specifically. Was when Rick went out, Carl stayed behind, and Michonne told him, she goes, I don't want to, I'm going to paraphrase, but she basically said, she's like, I'm following your lead, you're in charge here. And I've been a big proponent since day one, since I started reading the comics, since the show started. The story is not about Rick. The story is about Carl.
Boom.
And it's all about him growing up in this, and that's what I think it is, and that's where I think the hero is going to be at the end of the day. So I thought that was very poignant. The second thing I really liked, my favorite part of the whole episode, was Rick and his crew go up. They have all the cars, all
armored
kinda
cars.
armored up, and Gregory comes out with Negan. He's
My
saying,
favorite part, too.
"Everybody from the hilltop, get over here!" And then,
Go home while you still have a home
to go
to.
oh man, it was so good. And then Maggie speaking up because they've been kind of adversaries last season, and she goes, "Looks like nobody's leaving." And he goes, "The hilltop stands with Negan."
Jesus
and then
shouts
Jesus
out.
goes shouts out and he goes, "The hilltop stands with Maggie," and that was just like so gratifying to me.
And what was even more gratifying than that is when Rick has the conversation with Maggie, and Rick looks at Maggie and he tells Maggie, like, once this is over, I plan on following you. And Maggie kind of gives him like the little thing, like where she's like, I learned how to lead from you. And Rick's like, well, as soon as this is done, like,
I'm retiring.
Yeah, you got this. Because Maggie, this is what I love about the show. Actually, this is the whole point I wanted to make about.
Well, Alita must get tired of leading.
But look at
You
this
know?
is why I loved this episode so much, action-wise alone. Rick has shown that he has learned from every single encounter he's had on the show. His tactics were the governor's tactics. He definitely, on a grand scale, he brought like that whole horde army right to his doorsteps, and oh my God, like the look. Gregory coming out was that scene. Like, that's what did it for me. Because I'm watching Negan, and I'm watching him, like, acting. He's like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
Because you ain't got the numbers for this.
He's full of himself.
Earlier on in the episode, I wondered what happened with Gregory. But then everything starts rolling. I completely forget. And then when Gregory kind of steps out, I'm like, this is what your big plan was? Because even when Gregory was back at Hilltop, nobody had respect. He was the Rodney Dangerfield up there. You know what I mean? He thought he was cool eating excuse my language, but eating the shit.
But Negan's guys
men.
never knew that.
Yeah,
they never really
exactly.
understood that. So,
Well, real quick, while we're in the middle of the discussion, I want to give a couple shout outs. I'm going to give my cousin John, who said the graphic novels are great because he doesn't like when I call it comic books. He says the graphic novels.
Yes, I own the graphic novels
Right.
as well.
Our buddy of the show who was on a few weeks ago, Rich Marini, says sup, B $, pound sign, up arrow, S. I think that's trying to say a bad word. I'm assuming he's throwing S. And then a friend of the show, one of my favorite people, Beth LaCroix, says that Maggie and Carl are the future.
Yes.
And then Judith and Maggie's kid. So, again.
Maggie doesn't look at all pregnant.
She said, she's still in the first trimester.
Is she?
Yeah, because then she said she could battle through the second trimester. Which makes the timeline is throwing me off with her pregnancy. This whole Negan thing looks like it seems
forever.
as if it's months long.
But it really isn't.
You look at the time frame, it's 2.5 weeks tops.
Right.
Yep.
And that was a lot of content to jam in there.
From Glenn to, now it's just like it's been a whirlwind, but it feels like it's been, because obviously it's been a whole season, but it's only
probably been like 2 months.
Yeah.
I don't even think I think it's been a month, if that. Like, I think there's the timeline is definitely interesting, but let's talk about the little hook they left at the end of the show, where well, actually, before I talk about that, I wanted to go back to your point about Rick using the tactics of everybody, because we always compare. Like a few seasons ago, Rick could theoretically be argued it was worse than Shane ever was at his worst.
Yes.
And it's like everybody's like, oh my God, Shane was so out of control, and Rick had to do what he had to do because Shane's just losing it. Rick is past that point already.
Oh,
now.
yeah.
And like you said, if he's using now he's using governor.
Rick's like
type,
Frank Castle. Rick became Shane.
which is also a great reference because Punisher coming out to Netflix in a couple of weeks.
November 17th, I
Yeah.
believe.
So
I'm looking forward to that.
we'll be doing a show on that then too.
Oh, hell yeah.
So anyway, my point is that we see Gregory, the slimy snake that he is, and we want to talk about. I love talking about character progression. We see Father Gabriel.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Gabriel has come so far though
Yes.
as a character.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, he has.
From locking him his parishioners out of the church and watching or listening to them die, to basically being kind of a snake himself and trying to like sabotage Rick and his play and all that from earlier seasons.
Wow.
Now he's got Rick's back. He's one of Rick's soldiers, so to speak. But he still has that compassion. He kind of reminds me of Herschel in that way. Like he's just such a good person now.
He found his way.
He found his way, but it could lead to his undoing, similar to the way the governor took out Herschel. Are we going to see Negan take out Father Gabriel?
Well, I hope that Father Gabriel had his shitting pants on, because there's going to be some shitting going down. Because locked in there with Negan. First off, I'm beyond upset with TV shows like this, okay? Gabriel is holding an M16 that he was just shooting, so the safety's not on. So the second you would hear a man like Negan's voice behind you, who is as sadistic as he is, you would instantly
You
turn
should be
around
emptying
and
that clip.
Emptying that clip. Double tap, bullets to the head. You do not leave the chance for this man to get up. I don't care about the salvation power of Christ. I do not. You pull the trigger and end that. You cut the head off the snake.
I got a counterpoint. He's in there with Negan. He's by himself. He's got this gun. How many walkers are surrounding him? How is he going to escape that if he uses up all his ammo?
I take my chances with the walkers with no gun at all than being locked in with Negan.
Well, one you can kind of banter with and get maybe get your point across, as opposed to these creatures that have no rhyme or reason and just looking to eat.
I get it.
I think, spoiler alert, this is a potential theory here. From what I was reading, Gabriel might actually hear Negan's story. And
That would actually be nice.
Negan's basically going to confess everything and why he is the way he is to Gabriel. Gabriel, in turn, is going to go back to Rick. And for those that read the comics, spoiler alert, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Negan is still alive in the comics, and he's a prisoner of
and
Rick.
That's why,
So I'm wondering if that's going to be the reason why.
It could be.
If they follow the comics, but they've shown that they don't necessarily have to.
And on top of it, another...
It would be anticlimactic for him to die like that. For Negan to die like that.
If Negan's going to die, it's going to be Rick that's going to take him out.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
I can 100% see that it would be Rick, just based off what Rick said and what we all want to see. But when you look at Negan could have killed Carl when Carl jumped out at Negan's area, but he didn't. He actually showed him courtesy. He was actually very, very good to this kid. And basically...
The first time.
Yeah.
But still, that was... an hour after the kid jumped out of the back of the thing with an assault rifle trying to
Kill
take
him.
Negan out. And if anything, Negan showed the kid respect for it, which I in return
I think
respect.
this goes back to Carl being the hero. Is like Carl got Negan's respect by doing that.
Yes,
you know,
the
he's
whole
like,
time.
I like the cojones on you, kid. You know, and I think that's what shows all that strength that Carl has too.
Yeah.
Speaking of Carl, how about the little side story with him with the one lone guy, the drifter?
That comes into play further down the road, I think.
Yeah. Well, but what I'm saying is, you want to talk about him being the leader. Look at where Rick has gone. We talked about his tactics now. He kind of overtook Shane as far as his brutality, overtook the governor a little bit because that's something the governor would have done.
Yeah.
What Carl is doing is kind of like what old school Rick would have done. I don't know if this is a guy that's part of Negan's crew. He's saying he just wants some food. Carl left him 2 cans of vegetables or whatever it was and left a note that said, sorry for shooting at you. He's showing compassion, which leads to, whether it's a dream state or whether it's an alternate reality, the old man Rick storyline, when he opens the door and everybody's kind of like, there's like a little community, there's family, there's kids playing out in the yard. That's the end result that if Carl continues his way, his compassion, where he's using his judgment as far as, is this an enemy? Do we give them a chance? Think back to a couple seasons ago. How many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed? Why? That's the route.
Because they were dicks.
Right. Well, that's the reason I think Carl's going down that path now.
But look, I mean, Rick's been the justice man. He's been, look at Rick's the savage.
Farmer.
Rick's the farmer. We've seen all of these different things from Rick, just as we've seen it all with Carl. You know, like Carl, his emotions are all over the place. He's like severe bipolar.
Do you remember remember going back? I mean, what are we going back to season 4 or 5 where like Rick like tore out the guy's like was it his throat? Remember the guys were going after Carl?
That was a response. Though.
But I'm just saying it shows you how savage he could be and all the different personalities of Rick.
The best thing that
but like Herschel said, you can come back.
Yeah, always, like with anything really. But damn, you just had a good one. Damn, I lost it.
We're talking about what Rick tearing out that dude's throat, being ferocious.
Doof. The scariest I've seen Rick so far is his interview with who's Alexandria's first leader, the woman.
Yep.
Whatever
Deanna?
her name, Deanna. That in the conversation that she recorded, like where he's like full on savage beard, and he's like, "We'll do whatever it takes to survive. I'll kill anybody." Like, that's like, whoa. I could picture.
I mean, at that point, they had given up a lot of hope.
Yeah. And on top of it, like we've seen, think of Terminus too. We're going like super Walking Dead right now, but
that's okay.
Terminus,
we got time.
Saw the means to an end really quick. They're like, you know what? This human meat is still good. We're gonna cook this. Blah blah. It's a matter of time before the Alexandrians need to, they need some sort of food to subside on. Like it's a countdown because we don't really see. Oh, I almost made a mistake. We don't really see fish too often on this show. Besides that one beachside town.
Yeah.
So
spit on your competition.
Damn it, you bastard! You bastard!
I spit on your grave.
The only look at realistically on our planet, the only thing that is enough to be self-sustaining food-wise is fish. Yeah. Realistically,
right.
All of our animals are most likely dead in these situations. If I don't know.
Or poison.
I got 2 things.
Go for it.
So we talked about the fish. We talked about the water. One of the Walking Dead spin-off series, Fear the Walking Dead, started on a boat. Have you heard the rumor that there's going to be a crossover between Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead?
Well, I heard that before Fear the Walking Dead even hit the air. I heard that was the whole point of it, is to one day have these two meet up.
That was confirmed, and we're thinking that it might be Michael Cudlitz, who's going to reprise his role as Abraham before he met up with Rosita and Eugene, and he's going to be on Fear the Walking Dead. They said that one character is going to cross over.
Be the best character.
That would be, yeah.
I don't give 2 kernels of corn in my shit about how you feel, and you got a better side of picking up the clean end of a turd.
You know what I want you to shave that beard and just leave the mustache. That would be fantastic. But I made the little allusion, I spit on your grave before.
Yeah.
We also saw in The Walking Dead there's 2 new graves that Rick was standing over in one of those flashbacks. What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's 2 new graves?
No, I don't 100%. I think that's Glenn and Abram's grave, and I think they actually now have a stone on it or whatever. I think I noticed that really quick. Yeah. Beth did bring that up during the episode. She was saying that. She's like, oh, whose grave do you think that was? And automatically I went to Glenn.
Well, comicbook.com actually put a picture up of the 2 graves from when Maggie was, and it's on the other side of the platform. So either they made an error when they were shooting it, or those are going to be 2 new graves.
Ooh, 2 new graves. I don't know. Hopefully Gregory's ass gets it.
Well, I mean, it'd be at Hilltop, right?
Yeah.
So.
No, I know, but you could still this is my trophy. His head is mine.
Speaking of Terminus, do you know Robin Lord Taylor was in the Terminus scenes? Yeah.
He was.
Oh my God, he got dinked in the back of the head.
Yep.
And actually, the Penguin and his girlfriend were the 2. Who was it? Rick and Michonne went on a scavenging mission.
Yeah, they were in an earlier episode and then came back in Terminus.
Is that the first time we saw how many walkers have you killed? How many people have you killed and why? Was that?
I think it was before that.
I don't know.
I think it was before that.
That's really tough.
I think it was before Terminus. It was before Terminus.
I know it's around that time.
I think it was before
because it's
Terminus.
after Tyrese and them.
Because friend of the show, Tori Taylor,
I love
actually.
Tyrese. He was awesome.
Tori.
Tori actually for Christmas gave me 2 framed pictures, one of a map of Terminus that she made from an actual map that she got from the Atlanta area, and then another one she actually put out the speech, how many people have you killed, how many workers have you killed, why, and she gave that to me 2-3 years ago for Christmas, and it's one of my favorite gifts I ever got. So shout out to Tori. Thank you.
Shout out to you, Tori.
Yeah, Tori's the best.
Was it Andrea that came up with that?
I don't think it was not Andrea.
No, I think she might have said that. I don't know. Beth is just. I love the comment. She basically told me that you're never growing just a mustache. So
she wants me to shave the beard.
I'm okay with that.
So let's not bring attention to my facial hair.
But I'm saying, what about doing it for Halloween?
Hey, it's a Papa Luigi here. I can't have anything but
Beth could be Rosita. You could be Abraham.
Beth, do you hear this kid? Do you hear him?
Hi, Beth.
Beth has claimed that if this was a zombie apocalypse, because I asked her, randomly, I'm like, so who would you be? Because I'm the Glenn. I would 100% be the Glenn. There's, no tracking skills here. I'm not a cop. I'm not, freaking, I don't know. I'm not any of those guys.
But I can run and scavenge.
I can run and scavenge. I'm 100, and look, I'm a geek, too. It makes sense. I'm the Glenn, in that universe. And Beth was like, I would be a mix between this and this. And she's like, oh, shit, that's Rosita.
Boom. See?
Makes sense, yeah.
I knew that. I'd be more of a Eugene, I think. I'd be turning tail, and whoever's got the most power, I'd be siding up with them so fast.
Jeff can be Maggie. Jeff looks like Maggie. We throw a wig on him, a little bit of rouge, He could definitely be Maggie.
John, you can be Judith. How about that?
Oh, Judith John and Maggie Jeff.
Yep.
2 Southern girls who love lemonade and iced tea. I do declare.
So we're gonna put a pin in this. Get back to The Walking Dead in a second because in about 5-10 minutes we're gonna get back into our final countdown, actually our Mount Rushmore, and talk about the 4 major characters we think are basically The Walking Dead. If we had to do a Mount Rushmore of The Walking Dead, what would be the faces on that?
Mount Rushmore.
That's right. That's correct. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about something else that's coming out. Is it tomorrow? Is it coming out tomorrow? I'm gonna have to find that out real quick.
10/27.
But let's talk about Stranger Things. Let's talk about Stranger Things. What are you guys pumped? October 27th is going to be. So that's what tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. So
can't wait.
We can sit here because before we jumped on air, we were all laughing about how we all loved Stranger Things.
Loved it.
We couldn't even tell you what happened in the show.
We know the big
we know
moments.
The general.
Yeah, but all the little pieces. I mean, to me, my favorite was Winona Ryder's character, Will's mom, doing the whole Christmas tree lights and the thing, trying to communicate with her son who was in the Upside Down.
Wow, yeah, that was really cool. The story of the older sister becoming a badass. I think that was pretty cool. But I mean, realistically, the friendship between those 4 kids. Well, I mean, realistically, we only get the no.
Well,
the kind of comical part too. With the
no. I'm not talking about the one who gets pulled to the Upside Down. I mean, 11.
When the boys kind of find 11 is when it kind of
Dustin,
gets
and
really
Lucas.
interesting. Yeah.
I think it's awesome when they get her to levitate the Millennium Falcon, which is actually a toy you can buy nowadays. So
correct, which is Star Wars.
Hey.
So just I'm on Wikipedia right now. Just got these up. So first season, November 1983. The kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons, which is a total geek game especially for that time too.
Yeah, I was about a month and a half years old.
I was
a month and a half. No,
a month and a half years old.
He was 6 weeks old. I was about 1. Yeah,
he was 0.1 years old.
But he encounters a creature and vanishes to the Upside Down. A young girl with a shaved head, 11, shows up and befriends Mike.
This
Lucas,
is what happens when
Dustin.
11 grows up eating nothing but Eggos in the basement. Okay.
I love Eggos stuff.
Folks, don't let your daughters eat dry Eggos in a basement, okay? This is what happens. Public service announcement right here. KB and the Don warning your kids.
Don't do it.
I'm going to make sure that neither of you guys drink any type of energy drinks whatsoever.
I'm only halfway done with mine. So.
Hey!
Don's digging himself a hole right now.
Gazinga!
Yeah, so
Dazzler.
You guys are gonna have your own show. This is gonna be awesome.
So, Rich Marini, we're thinking about doing a horror movie podcast.
You'll just have to find another day to do it.
Do you need co-hosts? No, but really, how badass was the sheriff in that show?
Awesome.
Yep.
Rugged dude, like just you know what I mean. Like it's so funny because he's that like classic 1980s. Like, yeah, I'm the sheriff. I drink whiskey and smoke cigarettes, and I'm gonna find that little girl. I mean, that's what I mean, not really that he was a Southern hillbilly or anything like that. And not that there's anything wrong with hillbilly.
Just projecting the attitude there.
Yeah. I'm projecting. But
I was a big fan of Jonathan, Will's older brother.
Yep.
the weirdo.
Yeah.
My God. You know what's so funny? I watch like those random like clickbait videos that they have on Facebook, and I clicked on one that was making fun of Stranger Things, and the older brother literally does look like the guy who in Charlie's Angels rips out frickin' what's her name? Lucy Liu's hair and just takes a big whiff out of it. He does, and so does the little kid from the It movie. Billy from It movie definitely does look like he would be into that, or he'd be like the Rat King, and like I can't even think what he played the Rat King in. Willard, whatever the hell that movie was. Anyway, back to this. So I gotta tell everybody who's watching and continuing to watch, guys, we've had like an average of 25.
Yeah, I noticed that
the whole time, and that's big for any,
thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate
it. So thank you so much. I hope that we're keeping you guys, your minds going, and you're getting some information, education, transformation.
Feel free to like our page on Facebook for Your Geek Podcast. It's the same logo that you see here. And you can check out our old episodes. We have episodes talking about Game of Thrones, the different Marvel movies that have come out over the last
starting to get those
2
on the
years.
YouTube too.
Yeah. So we have a YouTube page for Your Geek on YouTube. All of our old episodes are on there too within the last 5 or so. I think I just uploaded episode 50, where this episode is 55. So there's tons of stuff and we'll get into all that stuff at the end. But for those that are watching, and I just want to thank you, Don, for reminding me. But anybody continue to watch on Facebook Live, we truly appreciate it.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. We like this community of geekdom. All of our fellow geeks on here, feel free to comment, introduce yourselves in the comments on Facebook Live. We go to this typically every show and just kind of give shout outs to people that are watching along with us. We'll call you out if you have a funny comment or observation, or
and if people want to be on, let us know.
Right, and think about so for those that are brand new, Don, who is probably the most energetic of the
People's
three of us,
geek.
He actually joined the show by
calling in
and
correcting us.
A new one, basically saying you were wrong at this point.
No, I gently redirected you guys because you guys were stumbling onto the right idea, but you guys were saying it wrong. And that's all I did was I was just like, hey, it's this, and I felt so weird, but I was like, and then I talked to you for 2 hours afterwards.
Yeah, and now we're boys.
Yeah, that's it. Like these are my guys right here.
Yeah,
you know
samesies.
Samesies. Yep. That's a Dazzler friggin' maneuver right there.
All right, Allison.
So
But yeah, so the Upside Down had a huge arc. Will was trapped in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
And looks like season 2 is going to take place around Halloween, about a year later, and having Will readjust.
Yeah, and Will keeps getting those little flickers of the Upside Down.
I'm super pumped for it. It's going to be out tomorrow. I know what I'll probably be binge watching all day on Saturday.
God, yeah.
I just want to point out that I believe the first season had 8 episodes. This season 2 is going to have 9 episodes, so it's going to be 1 episode longer. So, they're all going to be released tomorrow. The first episode is called Mad Max, which is a great reference too.
That whole, the nostalgic value of that show alone, I could watch it. You know what I mean? Just that alone. I remember that, when we got seeing. Oh no, that was it. That was the thing I appreciated about. That's probably the only thing I appreciated about the It movie. Is the nostalgic value of everything.
So down on it. He was so down on it.
Yeah, I could not appreciate that movie as a horror. If it was a comedy, then it was a great movie.
I just think movie. Not to retread on this, but I think it was it was like it had that Stranger Things feel.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think your expectations of it being more of a horror movie as opposed to more of a thriller type of Stranger Things-esque movie.
You know
was
what?
different.
Realistically, I'm sorry. This is my best comparison. The Goonies. If the Goonies was remade nowadays, it would be probably something like that. Like if you make like the creepy mother and her 2 weirdo kids, like nowadays, like because think back then in the 80s or late 70s, whatever it may have been when the Goonies was 80s when the Goonies was released. That's what was scary. Like, oh look, you got these like bad criminals and and we never got to see the scene with the octopus either. You guys know that, right? That whole scene, like the pirate ship scene, there was like supposed to be like an octopus thing. The little the kid, the inventor, because I can't classify anybody by their race or gender or anything. So the kid who invented things was like, and you wouldn't believe it, there was a octopus and we got away from it. And I don't know. There's supposed to be a part 2 to that movie. I don't even know why I'm talking about the Goonies right now because it relates to Stranger Things. And
if they rebooted that now, they'd make a fortune. They would make a fortune.
They would make a fortune.
For everyone listening or watching the Facebook Live video, you're basically peeling the layers of Don's brain and seeing his thought process as he jumps from subject to subject.
It's a little scary.
I love it. I love the way your brain thinks.
And that's why I keep headphones on all day because my brain does not stop.
So, any other final things you want to say about Stranger Things or the upcoming season? What do you hope to see? What do you want to see more of the Upside Down? Do you want to see how 11 comes back into and plays her part?
I'm kind of interested in the whole experimentation on her, the whole dropping in the water thing that was going on, and that whole story, how she came to be. I want to see more of that.
I would love to see, this is just a completely thrown out there idea that if anybody who's a creator in Stranger Things watches and hears me say this, I hope you guys use this. I would love to see a hero come out of the Upside Down. Like, how do we know 11 was the first? What if there was like, this has been going on for the past X amount of years?
Hundreds of years.
And they sent this guy in for so long ago, and he's been living in the Upside Down. He's been slaying the demigods and whatever, demigorgons. And this dude comes over, like, this is like when
An Elsa Bloodstone of the Upside Down.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, this is like the Duke Nukem of the Upside Down, and he comes back through and just, I don't know, starts slaying people left and right. That's what I would like to see out of it. I wish I could make movies. I could sit and talk nonsense all day, and I bet you we could throw a movie together out of it.
Let's write a script. Let's all three of us. We'll do a
challenge accepted.
So, gentlemen, do you want to get into our final segment, or do we have anything else we want to say about Stranger Things before we get into our Mount Rushmore?
It's the Mount Rushmore countdown.
Okay, so I feel like if we're getting different viewers, new viewers, I should probably explain what this is. Typically on our show, we have we rank our top 5, our top 3. We call it the final countdown. We're coming up with this new concept, which is not really new because everybody else does it, but we call it the Mount Rushmore, where we put the 4 faces of whatever subject matter. So for this particular one, we're still going to play the final countdown theme, and it goes a little something like this.
It's the final countdown. The final countdown.
Oh, I want to. Before we get into this, I want to just. Yeah, you read that? Give a shout out to your wife, man.
Oh my God!
Because that's great.
Awesome.
Great.
I can't even. I wouldn't even have thought of that. My wife just came up with by far the best, maybe hypothesis.
It's a theory, yeah.
A theory.
Yeah.
What if Barb comes back as one of the beasts?
So Barb got taken to the Upside Down. We think she's dead. First season of Stranger Things. What if she comes back as the villain? What if she's the Demogorgon?
Be crazy.
Beth, that is a great theory. I want Beth on the show.
She wouldn't do camera.
Okay, we'll do an audio. We'll do an audio only.
Okay, yeah,
we'll do an audio only, or we'll put her up to whatever she wants to do. We'll kick KB out. No offense.
No
Just
way,
kidding.
man. I don't get to see him that much anymore.
No, that's true. That's true. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, what if? No, I'm sorry. What if we created the Upside Down? What if the Demigorgons are our own doing? What if we created this and like now stuff's getting out of hand, and now it's gonna start spilling over? I thought those were tacos, and then everything's starting to
saying it's taco night. Come home.
Come home. It's Taco Tuesday.
Thursday.
I know what day it is. Thank you very much. What a host, huh? What a host, guys.
That's what I do.
So yeah, tacos are on my brain now, so I lost my
Okay,
train of thought.
so we were talking about the upside down. What if the
What if we
upside
did
down
that? What
is
if
the
that was us?
what if the upside down is the real world and we're the upside
Or
down?
the upside down.
This podcast now blows your mind. But let's get into Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore.
Mount
Shaggy.
Rushmore. Oh, that was a Scooby Doo reference.
Ruh-roh.
All right, we're gonna do the Mount Rushmore of the top 4 Walking Dead characters. So, which 4 characters basically define the Walking Dead?
Or the
for you?
face of the show.
The face of the show, or what basically defines what you think the Walking Dead is.
I'm gonna throw a curveball and say that none of us can double dip. So
Ooh.
whichever way it starts, we have to keep rolling because I'm sure we can come up with 12 characters on the fly in front of you guys and give you explanations on why. Is that cool with you?
So no duplicate. You're gonna keep track to make sure.
No duplicates,
yeah,
huh?
guaranteed.
All right. So do you want to do 4 at a time, or do you want to do 1 straight through, 2?
Almost
3,
like a
4?
draft kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like a draft.
That might be hard to keep track of, though.
No, I get this. I promise you
Okay.
guys,
Okay.
I got this. All right, here
Well,
we are.
and the people watching can on Facebook Live will let us know too. So go ahead, Don. You want to start off?
I will not take any of the big 3. So
See, but who were the big 3?
big 3 to me. It
Well,
doesn't count because I don't
let's-
claim them.
yeah.
Rick, Michonne, and Carl. That's my big
Okay.
3. By far the most amazing characters. But to me, Morgan. Morgan's a character who I love and I love to hate. Morgan off the rip is very... I don't know. He knows what's going on, but he's not very useful. He's good at keeping his kid alive, but Rick really teaches him how to use the gun, shows him where the guns are, shows him not too much, but they separate and whatever it is. Morgan ends up. We see that whole side story where that guy, that Zen master, teaches them Tai Chi or whatever it may be, and then Morgan becomes like the Yoda version of Darth Maul, I'll say, because he is just a beast with that stick. And what I loved is I got to see Morgan just take a dude out on this first episode, boom, 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 and then just stab him. So Morgan's killing again, and that's needed for this group. And Morgan is one of the big heads on my Mount Rushmore. And guess what? Oh, you know what? I can't say that too. But still, if Barack Obama could be on mine, he'd be on mine too.
There you go.
That's a good way of saying it.
I'm gonna go safe here, and I'm just gonna put Rick on the top. You just have to. I think
Okay,
he
so
has to be.
Morgan and Rick so far. So
I'm not gonna go into detail.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
Rick
Rick is
is
Rick.
self-explanatory.
All
So
right. I'm gonna throw a curveball too. I'm gonna start off with a villain. If we're talking TV show or we're talking comic, Negan.
Awesome. That's a good pickup.
So that's mine. So that's our first draft right there. Round 1 of the draft.
Round 1's gone. Okay. For me, it's not even a cookie cutter answer because Carol's evolved more than anybody on the show.
Agreed.
and took a
Carol-
step back.
And then
little bit.
realized, you know
Yep.
what? This is the world I live in. I have to accept my role. And that's what I'm seeing
Yeah.
from her. In that little group, like, you're looking at this group, and look, I chose Morgan first. Morgan's not the leader out of them. Morgan can be the voice of reason, but he's not a leader. A voice of reason cannot be the leader. You know what I mean? And then we have Daryl. Daryl's got no real leadership qualities either. Daryl's a follower. He's a soldier who can get stuff done for you, but a group's not going to look up to Daryl. Carol accepts that secondary leader role. She'll take that from Rick. As a matter of fact, she just doesn't.
She's
have
like
to-
Sergeant at Arms.
She is. Carol is
She'll carry out the work.
Yeah, I would follow Carol into battle. Let's put it that way.
I agree with that.
That's my second pick.
So you're Morgan and Carol.
Morgan and Carol so far. That's my squad
You're
so
Rick.
far.
I'm Rick.
Rick and
Maggie. Because
Maggie.
Maggie is so resilient
Yep.
and so smart and so balanced compared to a lot of other characters on the show. And you think of all the loss that she's had throughout the show. Like a lot of the other characters, like they've lost.
Yeah.
And we've seen Rick lose his wife. But look she's lost her father, her sister, her husband who she married after this. You know what I mean? On top of all the other people around her. And I feel like just so much loss in her home. Remember, back in, what was it, season 3?
Two.
2 or 3, right? So, losing her home, we didn't see anybody else lose their home. We've seen this girl's entire life go from farm girl to where she is now.
Yeah, you're right. We never saw Lori and Carl clear out the
home
house.
or yeah, exactly.
We just got to see it picked over.
Exactly. So she's the only character left from a time when, before everybody came to the farm for safety, was living the same life.
100%. Yeah.
And so if you look at that character, I mean, she's the epitome of from the start of this thing to where it is. And she's become such a respected member of the group
Absolutely.
and thinks on her feet. And I think like she said, she's learned so much from Rick, and Rick is like, no, you're going to be doing this.
Good. I'm glad that
So-
you learned it from me.
So I think putting Rick and Maggie together, I think is that's my second pick on my Mount Rushmore.
Well,
Okay.
I know you already named one of your top 3 that you weren't going to use. I'm going to pull them, though, because Maggie was going to be on my list. But guess what? Carl, I still think the story's all about him.
Good, man.
He's going to be up on there. Cause
His character development's phenomenal.
He's a child growing up in this post-apocalyptic world where now he's basically losing his innocence as a child. Especially on the TV show, you see, obviously in the comic books, a lot of things kind of mimic. He gets shot, in the woods, goes to
The
Hershey's
eye
farm,
thing.
the eye thing,
Yeah.
all of that happens. But the same fact of the matter is they actually showed on The Talking Dead this week after the season premiere of Chandler Riggs as a young boy when he first started on season 1
Yeah.
and what he looks like now. And the kid is grown up. And
Yeah.
to think about that, the kid spent, the last 8 years from whatever, like a 8 or 9-year-old kid to
He
now.
locked into this,
I'm
yeah.
like, you saw him grow up on the show,
Yeah.
but you also that weight, that gravitas is like, okay, you've also seen this kid grow up in a zombie apocalypse. Like that kid has had to do so much growing up, especially we look back to in the TV show when he had, like they did it a little bit differently, but Laurie had a C-section. He killed his mother as she died. Like
Yep.
he had to put his mother down for.
And that was a beautiful thing because that was a mercy kill.
Yeah.
Right,
He's-
but I'm
he wasn't
saying
gonna allow her
he's
that.
already mature up to that point that he's the one that has to make that decision.
Yeah.
And then you see Rick after that, like breaking down and just like beside himself, crying, and to Andrew Lincoln, the actor that plays Rick, such a great job. But the kid Chandler Riggs, I think is his name, the
Yep,
kid that
you're
plays
right.
Carl, his performance there too, and Rick's like, oh no, like, and he's totally losing it. Carl's face is just like so important. Like he's sad, but it's kind of like he's a little bit more reserved than Rick is. And
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's just so he would be on my list. So do you want to do a recap real quick of what we've done so far?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Do you want me to repeat?
Yeah, repeat it.
All right, so I have Carol, I have Morgan, you have Rick, you have your secondary was wow.
Maggie.
Maggie, yeah. I was gonna give you Maggie. Hold on. So he's got Rick and Maggie.
It's because you just said you were going to
You
pick
have-
Maggie,
yeah,
so
exactly.
you threw him
So
off.
He threw me off.
Yeah.
He threw me off, and you got Negan and you got Carl.
Yep.
So far our teams are very well off and balanced. Now I will take a page from your book, and I will use a villain. For me, the governor was incredible. The governor is a grand charismatic. He literally took the perfect opportunity with all of this stuff going wrong, and he captured the town of Woodsbury, we'll say. Not so much, granted, the unfortunate thing is I've never read the paperback books, The Road to Woodbury and all of these
Yeah.
things for the governor's backstory.
Rise of the Governor.
The rise
Yeah.
of the governor and all that. But still, he took the opportunity. He put himself in a leadership role, and he manipulated an entire town to do as he wanted. And then after that,
Intelligence
after
through the
losing-
roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even beyond the intelligence, it's his charisma. Like everywhere he enters, it's like, oh, what's going on with the governor? Like he exudes important. Like, you know what I mean? That he's important. You know what I mean? He's like a pretentious dickhead, but still gets everybody to do as he wishes. And we don't see it once on the show. We see it twice on the show. You know what I mean? He already has Woodbury, kills all of his men for not being able to accomplish the task at hand, and then gets the second group of men, and then rides with them, and then takes over their group.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And leads them to, again, attack Rick, kill Herschel. The governor was just...
Not to mention his manipulation of Andrea.
Oh, God. And again, I have to make one point clear. For anybody who is a graphic novel reader and TV show, the governor that I'm speaking of right now, who would be on my Mount Rushmore, is the
TV
TV
show.
version. The scuzzbag rapist who is from the graphic novels
Yeah,
would not
no.
make this list ever in a
No,
million years. He
that
looked-
character was weak in the comics. I
and
thought.
he
Yeah.
looked just trashy. Like
Yeah.
they made a very cleaned up version of the governor, and I appreciate it.
And David Morrissey
Was
played him
phenomenal.
Phenomenal job with that.
charismatic and
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
Okay,
KB?
Michonne
nice.
has to be Michonne.
Okay.
Just remember the first episode with Michonne. Not the first episode, but the end of season 2. You
Which-
just
with-
see the
with the
sword.
hood, yep.
You see the
Just badass.
and you're just like, oh my god. Like I mean, you know the character from the book, but you're just like, wow. And to see her, in her, to see how closed she was at the beginning, and to see what she is now
Yeah.
is a character that has the arc has just.
But I think they're giving
really
her a lot
awesome.
of Andrea's storylines.
Which they are.
100%, yeah.
But we're just talking the show.
Right.
So but even in the book, like she opens up along the
Oh, yeah,
way in a
absolutely,
different way. But I just love that. I think it makes better sense her role now because Andrea was in the comics. If people haven't read the comics, spoiler: Andrea is kind of in Michonne's position in the comics. But
Yes.
Andrea doesn't have kids, didn't have a family before,
Yep.
where Michonne did. So this is like Michonne is getting back a family after
what
losing.
she had lost.
Yeah, being a parent. I'm not gonna say parent, but yeah, being a parent. And wife, girlfriend, whatever. And you can actually see her from that total despair and closure and just being closed and all the crap that she went through and her going after the governor herself. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
So those kinds of things all happening to her. And how many times did she leave, come back, come back to finally
Even
see
when
her?
things were good, she
To
still left
finally
and came
see
back.
her in her place. She is a survivor. She is one of those people that will survive either on her own or in the group.
Yeah.
Some of these people, you could say outside of the group, may not survive. Even somebody like a Maggie on their own may not be as well. But Michonne definitely a survivor, so I think she has to be on my Mount Rushmore.
Okay. I like that.
we go from Michonne, who is a badass with the katanas, to somebody who died by the sword on my list, a gentleman by the name of Herschel. And I just love his character on the show.
The
Just how the fact
Gandalf
that
of Walking Dead.
He's the Gandalf
Yeah.
of the Walking. He's basically like,
Absolutely.
he's still the humanity in the show.
Yep.
Even though some people could say he was naive, like during the season at the farm, where he thinks that these people were just infected and they could be cured, to like finally accepting that, but still like for the living people not to lose their goodness, their humanity. To KB's point, we can still come back from this. You can still come back from this.
Yes. No, all I want to do is touch on that point. That Herschel is the humanity. And it's funny that you said that he's the Gandalf. Well, that would make Dale the Dumbledore. Because before we even got a glimpse of Herschel, like Dale was that voice of reason.
Yeah.
And granted, we didn't get Dale like on the TV show like we got him in the comic book.
No.
He didn't have that creepy relationship with the two sisters, and he didn't last into the prison.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get. Like, it's funny what TV is doing with this is they're taking characters who are similar and, like, we're just going to blend these storylines in together. And, Dale's going to become Herschel. Herschel's going to lose his leg, and then this is going to happen like this, and so on and so forth. And we lost Andrea, so what we're going to do with Andrea now is tie Michonne's story. And, Tyrese and Michonne didn't really have their relationship like they did in the comics, so we're going to do this now. Like, they're moving the pieces around for TV.
And we also have Ezekiel and Michonne in the comics versus.
Well, you got me beat there. He spoiled it.
I'm sorry. I thought you were
it's-
caught up.
no,
I didn't think about
It's
it.
my fault that I stopped reading. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't even get that far yet.
Well, to
Sorry,
put it in the show
spoiled.
terms, it seems like they're doing
Carol's
Carol.
found that role.
Yep.
So
All right.
moving on, I don't know if that was
No.
your pick
Oh,
for,
no, that
for
was
Dale.
definitely-
you
Dale
were
is
just
definitely not. I'm going to tell you guys, Dale is one of
Dale
my
on Mount
least
Rushmore.
favorite characters. The only thing
It's
that
like
was
comic
cool about
relief.
Dale is that Dale had an RV. Plain and simple. I did not like Dale. Dale couldn't survive 2 days.
He's
on
kind
his
of
own out
creepy.
there.
He's kind of a
Yeah.
creepy old man.
Definitely creepy. I mean, comic book wise, he was creepy. I mean, I'm envious of him.
Oh, yeah.
In the comic book world, but he's nothing. So I mean, I'm gonna end my Mount Rushmore on the realest character that ever could be in The Walking Dead. The one character who shows his true human colors, and that can be only one man. The man who always shows that he's afraid, Eugene. Because
Yeah.
Eugene is a human being in a zombie apocalypse with human beings killing each other. And he knows that he's got skills where he can build stuff, and he may know, a thing or two about a thing or two, but he knows I can't kill things, I can't survive, so I need to click up. And he is the realest character on that show.
I was gonna agree. He is a realist because again, for those that aren't caught up, but you should even last season, he's part of Negan's camp right now.
Yeah.
We are Negan, and it's just like
I've been Negan before you even had to ask.
right, and he's doing what he needs to do to survive.
Damn right. So, you know what? I'm going to be honest. My first thought process was like, at the end of this, we can have our three teams go up against each other, and who would kill whose team, and we can, like, discuss it or whatever. But realistically, like the way once I had to say that name Eugene, I realized like that all of those other characters meant something to me, and so does Eugene. So that was kind of mine. I'll end with the weak character.
KB?
I'm debating. I was gonna go with Daryl, but because it is Mount Rushmore,
Oh, I
it's
was
not.
gonna say you have the Beast Squad.
you know.
Daryl. Well, that's what I'm saying. Daryl kind of is like
Yeah.
the end all be all on the TV
He
show.
could just
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
I
the
mean,
Wolverine, if you will.
yeah. So, you know what? I am gonna go with Daryl because
Okay, nice.
my other pick was gonna be Jesus, but
Jesus. I
yeah,
didn't even think of Jesus.
yeah.
the Beast.
But I just think like Daryl is just he's just the man. He's losing his brother in the beginning. Well, thinking he lost his brother in the beginning, and then finding him again. And I love when they kind of go out
Merle's
on
really
their
good too.
yeah.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yep. I just love when they go out on their own after when Meryl comes back and they're kind of on their own and they're kind of talking about their
Why
past
don't
a
you
little
go
bit.
back to your cop? Go back to your
Yeah.
police officer. And
Yeah.
that whole
Yeah, a great back and forth. And then Daryl, when he was with that other group for a while, remember the fight? They accused him of stealing something.
Oh my God! The
Remember that
bikers.
the
Claimed.
bikers
Claimed.
the claimed
Oh,
yes the
man.
claim thing, like that was pretty cool. And then the one weird thing about Daryl was that weird relationship with Beth.
I see, but again,
It was
I think
it was more of a brother-sister
it was.
thing.
People wanted them to hook up
Yeah.
and date, and I'm like,
Yeah, but he's got an
It felt a little
equally
weird.
creepy relationship with Carol. What does he
Yeah,
want?
but
they're-
Carol to
they're
like
at least-
pull
they're-
down his pants and wipe his ass
but
so he feels better.
But they're closer, at least in age. Like
Yeah.
in
She
experience.
looks like she could have pushed him out when she was like 18.
no.
She looks old and beat.
She's
He
like,
looks
she's-
hillbilly old. He
she's-
looks like the
yeah,
weather's done
she's
some
like
work on
in her
him.
50s.
And he looks like he could be in his like
he's in his mid to late
35.
40s.
Oh,
Well, he still looks like he could be like a very weathered 35-year-old man. Not
Okay.
everybody is, as
All right.
dashing as we three.
All right. Well, thank you for the
So
compliment.
we're gonna reveal our picks before Jay Freeze.
Are you gonna test me to see
So-
if I
yeah,
Yeah.
let's see if you can do
All
it.
right, so you picked Rick, Maggie, Michonne, and Daryl.
I had the Beast Squad.
You do. You have the holy grail of Walking Dead characters. You picked Negan. You picked Herschel. You haven't picked your last one yet, but you picked one more person.
I even remember.
Yeah, it's probably someone like emotional, like Beth.
I'll give you a hint. Kind of broody.
Kind of broody. Oh my God, I don't know.
A broody teenager.
Oh, it's Carl. Coral.
And yours was Morgan.
I forgot mine. Mine was Morgan, Carol, Eugene, and my God,
Governor.
the
Governor.
governor. My God, see.
So my last pick is actually someone that's not with the show anymore, and went through season 2, and now he's coming back to Netflix to punish some people.
Nice.
I am going to
a
go
good
with
pick.
Shane, just because I think Shane, at least as far as the show is concerned, kind of
so needed.
Yeah.
gotten. It was kind of like the ahead of the curve. Is this is what humanity can devolve into? And as we've talked earlier in the show, Rick's already way past that point that Shane was.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying, like, at that time when you had like still a sense of normalcy, like these people, what they're doing is unethical. It's immoral. He shot. I can't think of the guy's name, but he shot him to leave him for dead when they were on the farmhand.
Otis.
Yeah.
Shot Otis to basically save his own skin and
Otis
save
had a
himself.
case of the Mondays. Garfield reference.
Can you imagine having Shane alive now fighting Negan?
No, because I could picture Shane being with Negan.
Or
Yeah.
well, there was the argument that everything that happened with the governor wouldn't have happened if Shane had been part of that camp.
That's very true. But then
quite
look
possible.
at trickle down effect. Shane and Daryl didn't really get along.
Yeah.
So who's your choice? Do you pick the guy who's got more skills, or do you pick the guy who's more of a killer? I'd keep Daryl around. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
if it came down to the two, and think of the butterfly effect. Yeah, maybe that stuff wouldn't have happened with the governor in that camp, and maybe it would have been nipped in the bud, or maybe it wouldn't have been. Maybe
Think
the
of it.
governor's band could have been pushed away.
Think about if Shane was in that circle, the first circle where Negan was going to take off Carl's arm.
That wouldn't have happened in front of Shane.
See,
Shane would have got beaten with Lucille while he was biting at like Negan's throat, and which is very, very sick because as a father myself, like I'm sorry, my head's getting beaten in before I'm cutting my kid's hand off.
Right.
And on
Yeah.
top of it, like I'll figure out some sort of a way to hurt you enough that you're not going to hurt my kid.
Yeah.
And Shane has that
Shane's nuts.
over Laurie and Carl more than Rick
He's
does.
Yeah.
obsessed. He was
yeah.
obsessed.
Yeah.
Nick Ponce, what's up, Joey? Whip.
Oh, everybody's jumping in.
I know, guys. This is awesome.
This is
what's
a
up.
great show. This is a great show.
This is very, very
So,
good. Again, we want to thank you guys.
Everybody that tuned in for the first time or that's listening on the audio version of this, thank you again. Please feel free to check out.
I feel like we didn't really
website.
talk about Thor.
We talked about it in the beginning. It's
Yeah.
fine. We're gonna be back in 2 weeks.
We'll review that
with
movie.
a review of Thor Ragnarok. First of all, please check out
My
our
Mount
Facebook
Rushmore
page.
was the best.
Okay, thank you, KB. Please check out our Facebook page, Free Your Geek Podcast on Facebook. Like it so you'll be notified every time we do a show. We usually do it
Yes.
Thursdays around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
We skip some weeks because we're lazy.
Well, or we got stuff going on. Check out our sponsors for those in the Fall River area: Pachico's Furniture, Local Blast Marketing, and Ritual Sweat Society. And if you're in Fall River, our friend across the street, Game King, any tabletop games.
Yes.
They just celebrated how many years, KB?
5, I think.
5
5 or
years.
6.
Last Saturday they had a huge game day, and
yeah.
tabletop games, comic books, collectibles right across the street. Check out Game King.
Hell,
They
what
got
are
to
you doing
have
with that?
a
If you-
subscription service, 20% off comics.
I saw. Okay, that's what they were promoting the hell out of that
Yeah.
for last Saturday's event. And hey, when you're done with Game King, you want a burger and a beer? Run across the street, Tap House, man. Tap House, great food.
You might
Local.
even catch the Don there.
You might
Yeah.
catch it down there if you're there on a Friday night, because I make food just right, and I have to be there on the most important day because that's the way I play. But anyway, back to the show, folks.
So yeah, like our Facebook page. Check us out on social media. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. Free or Geek on both of those.
Check out Jay Free, who will be putting up covers of DC comics on the Facebook page, and KB putting up Marvel covers weekly.
We'll just let him
We've taken a sabbatical from that. but
Apparently, my lazy co-host.
That's what I was saying about the lazy thing.
breaking news.
We've gotten a little lazy.
Breaking news: I've been seeing old comics retweeted. Hashtag lazy bums over here at Free Your Geek.
But no,
Jay
check
Free's
out-
too busy with his Dazzler
we're on-
obsession on Wednesdays.
We're on YouTube. Check out Free Your Geek on YouTube. We're putting out
/ Dazzler fan for life.
That is not a backslide. That is not an address. Do not go to that.
Hashtag.
I cannot promise what you'll see when you go there. That's all I got. Anything you guys want to plug? Anything else?
Oh, man.
All right.
I don't know. Actually, you know what? Let me
kinda
jump in
summed it
real
up.
quick. So, any gamer guy out there who's watching, I hope you're ready for No Shave November meets No Life November, because Call of Duty World War II will be released
yes.
November 3rd. So tell your girlfriends, wives, side chicks,
Significant
moms,
others.
dads, everyone that you will not be leaving the room for a month, because it is
Maybe
No
2.
Life November.
Maybe 2 months.
And squat up.
And
Maybe
just to
2
add
months.
to that, females too, because we're not sexist here. So if there's any females too, tell your boyfriends that you're going to be playing some Call of Duty. Just saying. We can't leave out the ladies.
Don's in utter shock.
Anyway, back to
This
the
is
show.
super-
No,
super awkward.
Everybody knows I respect girl gamers all day long, because it's actually gamer is a gender neutral term. Okay, so
that's on me then.
and
My
apparently
fault.
girls can't have girlfriends according to Jay Free, and husbands and wives and children, and apparently this world is only boy girl. That is it. No soup for you. Step to the left. That's how Jay Free sees the world. That's why him and Dazzler are not engaged anymore.
She
That's
dumped
why
him.
He
She
joined
dumped
the DC
him.
side. He's a fan of Supergirl. He looks through Supergirl's windows. Report this man.
The views and opinions expressed here are not those.
No, guys, I'm just kidding. This was a fun show.
Yeah, we like to bust each other's chops. We're having fun. But yeah, check out
Some
all
of
our
us more than
social-
others.
Social media stuff. Anything else? You guys want to hit him with the catchphrase?
What is it? What is it again?
We get new catchphrases every.
No,
Hey,
we're
you
go-
guys
we're
want to
going-
hit him with the catchphrase?
We're going back old school. Just do it.
Start your weekend with your geek friends.
And get your geek on.
Bye, everybody.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.